Hey team, welcome back. A review. A Different Kind of Power by Jacinda Ardern. 327 pages of a different kind of book talking about a different kind of power. It was written in 2025 and published by Mac Millian. Jacinda Ardern is the most recent female Prime Minister of New Zealand. She has written a commentary of her life and in her time on the journey to and then in Parliament. The Right Honourable Dame Jacinda Ardern was elected the 40th Prime Minister of New Zealand at the age of 37, becoming the country's youngest Prime Minister in more than 150 years. Since leaving office, Ardern has established the Field Fellowship for Empathetic Leadership. She is a senior fellow at Harvard University, continues to work on climate action, and is the patron of the Christchurch Call to Action to eliminate terrorist and violent extremist content online. Ardern also works on a number of projects that supports women and girls, but considers her greatest roles to be those she holds for life, being mum and being a proud New Zealander. She was born and bred in New Zealand, living just down the road from Hobbiton, growing up as a policeman's daughter in a small town of New Zealand. Her writing brings transparency to the emotion and thoughts behind life and world-facing decisions. The way it is written entwines a life story, autobiography, and memoir with the emotional uncertainties and the road that led Jacinda to the role of Prime Minister. It is powerfully evocative, written for anyone who has questioned themselves or has aspired to make a difference. She openly shares her failings, her challenges, her mistakes, and the huge effort it took to lead New Zealand so successfully in the eyes of the world, with a moral compass and kind heart, leading with integrity. She shares her mother's guilt and then the joy and the simplicities of life. Add to this her recent Emmy award-winning documentary called Prime Minister, and you'll get a more complete picture of life in New Zealand, and more specifically, life as a politician, warts and all. New Zealand is gorgeous. It has many kind and caring people, but in her book and the documentary, you get glimpses of the dark, nasty and brutal side of New Zealand politics and life. A country of freedom, often number one for freedom in the world, and is yet to grow into accepting fully the responsibilities that go with the rights that they are given. New Zealand has a tall poppy syndrome and is well known for the fact that you can't be a prophet in your own land. Egos are high, yet checked against at every turn. Putting people in their place is common, and so the fears of not being enough, not being able to, and imposter syndrome that Jacinda shares are all too real. They are realities of being a New Zealander. It is okay so long as you don't say no. The book gives some insight to her emotion and thinking and her leadership lens, as she has led the country through some of its greatest tragedies: the Christchurch Mosque massacre, White Island, eruptions, COVID. Yeah, she was leading from a moral compass of kindness, care, compassion, social justice, standing in the face of adversity. She talks through negotiating with the New Zealand First Party to form a government, giving insight to the workings of Parliament and an opinion on maybe some different parliamentary members. She talks through how she got into politics, not through a plan, but by hard work and supporting others. She talks of moving away from her religion, meeting world leaders, meeting the Queen and now the King. She talks of her struggles with IVF and supported pregnancy, discovering she was pregnant in a friend's flat not long after the announcement as Prime Minister. She talks of managing morning sickness as she was being sworn in, breastfeeding in world summits, and turning New Zealand's premier house into a home for a newborn. She brings the realities and the guilt of being a working mother into words. Jacinda Ardern was just 37 when she became Prime Minister, the 99th woman to enter Parliament, and the third female Prime Minister in history. She was the youngest in the role in over 150 years, unmarried and female. She battled some of the biggest challenges in recent New Zealand and world history. This is one book that I read slowly, completely from cover to cover. Why? Because I wanted to know her story, because I wanted to understand her thinking and her journey, because I wanted to know more about her kind of leadership, her leadership style, the challenges, and to learn. She gave insights I never expected. Her book is real, honest, and written with care and transparency. Takes you on her journey as a person, and then offers a summary of a time in New Zealand history. She writes it with an international audience in mind, explaining some of New Zealand's personalised sayings and ways of doing things, so everyone can access the story. And after 15 years of Parliament, she has left, moving first to the US, and now she is based in Australia. Quotes. There are two of them I want to include here. Here's what I would say to everyone who doesn't fit the mould. If you have imposter syndrome or question yourself, channel that. It will help you. You will read more, seek out more advice, and humble yourself to situations that require humility to be conquered. If you're anxious and overthink everything, if you can imagine the worst case scenario, always channel that too. It will mean you are ready when the most challenging days arrive. And if you are thin-skinned and sensitive, if criticism cuts you in two, that is not weakness, it's empathy. In fact, all of the traits that you believe are your flaws will come to be your strengths. The things you thought would cripple you will in fact make you stronger, make you better. They will give you a different kind of power and make you a leader that this world, with all its turmoil, might just need. That's what I would tell her, and I suppose in sharing my story, that's what I'm telling you. She said in her second quote, you can be a mother, a nerd, a crier, and you can lead just like me. And then she went on to say, I think you'd asked me what I wanted to be remembered by, and I'm pretty sure I said I wanted to be remembered for kindness. I hoped that turned out to be true. Jacinda Ardern and her husband Guy recorded parts of their lives and have produced an incredible Emmy Award-winning documentary. The preview of this is attached here in the blog. The full commentary is well worth watching. Thanks, Jacinda. You did good.